Cool. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of I'm Doing Great, the podcast for the grateful citizens of the grateful... What the hell?
It's been a while.
Sorry, guys. It's been a while, but we're back. Episode 50-something, 54 maybe, I think. We're on our way there. Before we get into anything, I really wanted to talk about SonoranDefense.com. They're a sponsor of the show right now. They really like what we do. We really like what they do. Let me tell you a little bit about what they do. So, you have a Glock. You have a CZ. Does the Glock feel a little bit slippery in your hand? Well, it shouldn't, okay? So what Sonoran Defense can do is they do what's called a stipple, the grips of your guns to make them feel more sturdy in your hand, make you feel like you almost got like Velcro on the inside of your hands. That gun is not going to slip while it is in your hands. They also have some pretty cool accessories. They make some custom magazines for you guys as well. They also have some sweet merch. But what they do and what they do well is they do stippling. And they do Cerakoting, which is pretty cool. Please use our code IDG10 on their site at checkout. That only covers stippling and accessories, I believe. If they do sell firearms on there, but in order to use our code and get our discount, you can't put that towards the gun itself. You got to put that towards any accessories or stippling work. So again, SonoranDefense.com. They're awesome. I'm sure you watched the video that I put over me talking, but yeah. We have some of their work. Gina and I have some of their work. Mm-hmm. Isn't it cool?
It's cool.
You got yours the other day.
I got mine. Yeah, I
did. When you
did.
came back from vacation.
Vacay.
Yeah.
That's my first vacation in 2 years.
Sweet.
I used to joke and say vacation is for losers because, you know, the Asian mentality, you work 365 days a year. But I'm really glad we took that trip. It was just long. 2 full weeks away from home.
In a Winnebago?
Yeah, kind of.
Or an RV?
A little RV. Yeah, we drove up.
Guy?
Oh, yeah. Have we named him?
No.
And he's definitely a boy because he's got... Hey, don't expose him on the internet.
I kind of want to give him the namesake of the first pity that I ever had, Tyson.
That's a good pity name.
Oh, he's got the pointy collar.
Yeah.
I never liked those.
You didn't like them? Why? Because
I don't like around the collar. I don't like around the neck collars because Adriano knows those hurt the dogs more than they help them.
Right.
You want around the torso.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that cute little guy.
Tyson.
Look at that sweetheart. Tender and gentle and excellent with children.
Yeah. He's the new mascot of
I don't know why I entertain you
Nation.
because I'm like on the fence about pitties. I take the L when it comes to pits. I do. I love them, but I take the L.
That's okay. I've shown a couple people the iterations of the Grateful Nation flag, and you were like, that's way too much.
Oh my gosh.
Can I show people here?
Yeah, show people. I mean, it's just like, you know, do we want to make our flag?
I think it's pretty cool. Flag? I wonder if I can, can I zoom in?
We can definitely make some pit merch.
It's a cool flag.
It looks cool. It does look cool.
I see it put it to the camera. Can they see? Yeah. 2 stars for 2 hosts, 2 genders, a red cross for Christianity. And then a faithful pit.
I do like the red, white, and blue as well.
Yeah, Carly was like, oh my God, the pit has cropped ears. Why did you do that? And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't notice.
Oh.
Damn. You don't want to crop a pit's ears. That's just mean and
inhumane.
It
is. It is. That's what the bad owners do, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what the bad owners do. So your vacation was good. I was on vacation for the first week that you were on vacation.
Yeah, you were in Florida, right?
Correct. Yeah, I went south, you went north.
Yeah, we were in this really, really beautiful little beach town called Duxbury in Massachusetts. And
is it called Duxbury or is it one of those Massachusetts town where a letter is silent?
It's called Dux. It's spelled Duxbury.
So you say Duxbury.
So you say
It's not like Worcester.
It's not like Worcester where you have like 10 consonants that are silent.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a lobster roll?
Didn't have lobster, but I had some of the probably the best oysters I've ever had in my life.
Really?
Island Creek oysters.
I'm not a big oyster guy.
I'm a huge oyster fan, and I haven't had good oysters like that since I lived in Boston. And the ones I had in Boston many years ago were probably from the place where we got them.
It's a texture thing. Can you fill up on oysters? No, right? It's just like put a little bit of caviar on this. I feel special.
Yeah, it's just, and that's it. It's not very filling, but they are very good for you.
Are they?
Yeah, they're apparently very good for you. I also had some really good shrimp. Just their seafood in general is really good there.
Yeah.
Really, really
Northeastern
good.
seafood.
Good scallops.
Can't go wrong. Yeah.
Duxbury is the second oldest town in the United States.
Really? Mm-hmm. When was it founded?
I don't know. It's a good question. Let's look it up. But it's got a lot of history there. Like a lot of the pilgrims are buried there. They have this really historical cemetery there.
They're buried on top of the natives that they killed and slaughtered.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
But at least they'll get it.
1637.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great. And then we went down to New York to see a lot of family, to introduce my daughter to a lot of my family. We're like one of the only parts of my family that doesn't live in New York. And I told you, New York is just like, it's just so stressful these days. New York, the best pizza in the world. Long Island has the best bagels and pizza.
Yep.
The best.
Yeah.
It doesn't compare to anything else.
No.
So it was nice to have just a really good, like gluten-y Long Island bagel.
I was telling our son Kai, because he was making a bagel sandwich at home and he was like, yeah, it's a pretty good bagel. And I was like, no. Listen, you can't get a better bagel outside of Long Island, because a good bagel to me, especially in Long Island or on Long Island, you can eat them either, toasted or untoasted. The best thing about a toasted bagel, which Long Island bagels do, it is the water content. There are many videos and studies done about the mineral content in the water, which makes the bagel so good. But once you bite into a toasted New York Long Island bagel, once your teeth have penetrated the bagel, you go from super crispy toasty to like dense and fluffy.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes.
And you can put anything on these things. It doesn't matter. You can have a plain bagel toasted with nothing on it and it's still delicious.
It's a flavor explosion. Well, it's a texture explosion.
Yeah.
There's really nothing like it.
It's like biting into a crusted cloud.
That's a good way to describe it.
What do you call the thing that you break with the spoon? The dessert?
The creme brulee.
Creme brulee.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that, like a texturized, crusty outer layer, but a fluffy, cloudy inside layer.
When we were at the farmer's market that you went to last weekend, there was there's a guy there that said, bringing New York bagels to Tennessee. And I looked at my husband, I was like,
no,
we're not even going to try that.
No,
Sorry.
Don't even bother.
Don't even try. It's not even worth it.
It's almost like the same thing where with the same farmer's market, we go in there and this lady was like, you want to try my gravy? And I was like, gravy? What? Oh, she's got sauce. Oh, you got sauce? Yeah, I'll try that. It was good sauce, but she kept on calling it gravy. And that's something that you don't do. Now, there are certain New Yorkers who will call it gravy, but it depends on where they lived. I don't think you got too much gravy in Bensonhurst Italians, like out in Brooklyn. I think the gravy might be a little bit of Northeast kind of thing.
I think if I ever said gravy to my family on Long Island, they would be like, what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, gravy?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
We got turkey over here? What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, this is sauce. You don't call it gravy, all right?
Yeah, that's right.
You call it gravy, get the fuck out of my house.
One thing that was kind of sad to see, most of my family is unhealthy.
Yeah.
And, they eat the standard American diet, but also like the standard New York Italian diet. And like one of my uncles was like, so we were talking a little bit about how my family, for the most part, doesn't eat gluten, grains, and dairy and refined sugar. And my dad, he noticed when he gave up gluten and grains that every morning when he comes down the stairs, he doesn't come down in pain. Like he doesn't have pain in his knees, because there's a lot of joint pain that comes from eating grains and gluten. And so he was telling that to his brother, and my uncle was like, I would rather be in pain and have pasta. And it's sad because there's a lot of people that would just rather choose to live in pain and in chronic illness so they can eat whatever they want to eat. But it's also because they don't know what it feels like to not live in pain.
Well, here's the thing. You can eat whatever you want to eat. There's just something called moderation. I mean, do you have to have pasta 7 days a week?
Yeah, that's
what I'm saying.
Like they can't imagine like 85-15, like having pasta once a week or something like that.
Oh, blood, you got my food. You got my food, blood. Wagwan.
We need captions.
You got my food, blood. All right, well, this is what we're going to do, innit? I've been watching a lot of Topboy on Netflix.
What's it about again?
My new show, Wagwan. You understand what I'm saying, innit?
I got to look it up.
So Topboy is a show about black youth who sell drugs on the streets of London.
That's racist.
And it came out about 10 years ago, had 2 seasons, probably on BBC or whatever the hell.
Topboy.
And then it came back. And the only
Boy.
reason why I'm watching is because I saw Andrew Schultz did a podcast with one of the actors, Sully.
Okay.
I think he's a rapper named Kano.
Kano, I see that.
And yeah, so I thought this looks to be an interesting show, and I love English crime and mob movies, Guy Ritchie's kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
you do love that.
So I asked my brother, I said, have you ever seen Top Boy? He was like, of course I've seen it, innit? And I was like, oh, whoa. So I started watching Top Boy, but then he said, no. You gotta go watch Top Boy Summer House. That's the original one from 10 years ago. So I watched one episode out of the proper timeline. Okay. But I got back into it.
Is it all on Netflix? Even the older ones?
It's all there, pussy out.
In it.
Yeah.
Top Boy.
I've been driving my wife crazy because I've been walking around the house going, oi, you're gonna watch Top Boy with me, innit? And she's like, shut up. And I was like, okay. So I go to the couch and, Ro will be playing on the floor. I'll be like, oh, where's the food then, Rob? Gunk got my food. You're gonna be in for trouble, innit?
Isn't it?
And she's like, you hear in the back, shut up. I love it. But
As
yeah,
wives
Top
do.
Boy, Top Show.
Top G.
Top G.
You want to talk about Top G?
Who's Top G?
Andrew Tate.
Oh, Andrew Tate.
Top
Yeah, he
G.
says weird words. He says
Yeah, he has the weird accent because he was.
process
Yeah, he was born in
here.
Chicago, but raised in the UK, and he says things like creativity.
Yeah, let's be
Creative.
what was I going to say? Let's be the growing number of podcasts who talk about Andrew Tate.
He's now the most Googled name ever in the world, more than Donald Trump and Kim Kardashian.
When did he start getting popular? Because the
He's been
short
around
that
for a
we
long time.
Yeah, but the short that we put on with John Doyle talking about why people cheat. Remember
Right.
the short?
Yes.
Someone was like, "Wow, Andrew Tate's influences." I'm like, "Well, we did that episode back before really people knew who he was." For the
everyone
most
needs to understand about Andrew Tate, and this is why so many conservatives get him wrong, is that they think that he popped up overnight. And like,
Right.
my thing is, if you have not heard of Andrew Tate, or if you haven't known of him, you haven't really been paying attention, because he's been big. He's kind of been like the underbelly of the internet for a really long time. I've followed him for, I don't know, probably for a number of years now. And so when people are like there's this girl, she was like, he's definitely a CIA asset because his dad is CIA. Okay, number one, his dad died like 7 years ago. And she was like, you don't just get famous overnight with no influence. I'm like, okay, babe, he didn't get famous overnight. Like, he's been very well known for a long time. It's just that he came, I would say, more to the mainstream in the last month, or even just the last few weeks. So I think a lot of conservatives get him wrong, which is like we talked about with Elijah and John. I believe Tate to be a net positive.
Yeah,
I really do.
That's all I asked. I was like, listen, I don't really care for his delivery all that much or his personality. And I asked the question, is he a net negative or is he a net positive? And people were like, oh, Mike's a what were they saying? I was just a soy boy. I'm like,
beta or something.
I'm asking a question here. I want to know how you guys think about it.
Yeah. I think
could
he's
do
net
without.
positive. Yeah.
I don't really care either
I think
way.
he's good. I think he's good for men. And I think a lot of conservatives, they say things like, oh, Andrew Tate thinks that men can just sleep around as much as they want. If you actually listen to what he says, this is why conservatives annoy me. They do the same thing to people like Tate, to people like Nick Fuentes, Gavin McInnes, etc. They do the same exact thing to them as leftists do to conservatives.
Yeah.
And then those same conservatives criticize leftists for doing that to conservatives. It's like they see a couple of clips that are taken out of context,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what I
they
was about to
form
say,
an entire opinion about this person and say, this is who this person is, and they stand for this, and this is wrong, when they haven't actually watched any in-depth interviews.
I think
of any of these
if
people.
we had Andrew on the show, I think I would want to ask him one question. It would probably have to be, what you talk about. Who is that directed towards? Like, who is your ideal person that you're trying to reach? If you're trying to reach anybody, if you're trying to instill, any way of living, any way of being, any way of acting, like, who's the person that you're wanting to reach the most? Is it, a disaffected 17-year-old incel possibly who, has a black pill on meeting a woman or something like that? Or, is it a guy? Is it a single dad? Like, who is it? Like, who does he ultimately want to reach out to?
Yeah, that is a good question. I wonder too. I mean, I also sometimes think that he doesn't even really have an answer to that. Tate just kind of like,
he just does what he does.
He just does what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We also have to point out that I know that apparently there are sexual assault allegations and allegations of sex trafficking. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence for that. If they are true, I do hope that justice will come down swiftly. But even so, I still don't think that that's a good enough reason for him to be kicked off of platforms.
Well, why was he kicked off of platforms?
So there's a lot of different, responses to that. I initially asked that. I was asking, was there one specific thing that he said, or like one
or was it misogyny?
video?
Didn't they all just say misogyny?
That's what they all said. But
misogyny.
Some people are saying that one of the reasons he got kicked off is because of what he said about COVID. Like, he just exposed the fraud of COVID or whatever. But I don't think that's why.
Do YouTube recently took down its guidelines about talking about masks now and the effectiveness of masks. So people had their videos taken down because they were talking about the
didn't know that.
effectiveness of masks, cloth masks, and all that stuff. And YouTube would take those videos down. But now they've reversed those guidelines. So we could say whatever we want about masks if they work or if they not work.
Oh, well,
Nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen.
Thank you, overlords.
I would
for granting us the ability to speak.
Thank you for allowing us to talk freely.
Yeah, sweet.
Freely-ish. I would recommend if anyone wants if you want an introduction into Tate, I would recommend watching the Full Send podcast with him.
Well, that's not even an introduction because that was done, 2 weeks ago or something like that?
Yeah, but I mean, I
would
guess
have to go deep into the Fresh and Fit podcasts where he's been on with all the low-hanging fruit that they invite onto that show all the time.
Such a good way to put it. But I mean, I will say this: the Nelk boys are they're not intelligent. They're not good interviewers, but it's an episode where you can really listen to Tate for 2.5 hours. And I listened to it. I think that might be one of the only long form.
Wait, I want to interrupt a little bit because I kind of want to simp for the Nelk boys here. I don't really care for the prank videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to call them, or I don't want to entertain someone saying that they're not necessarily unintelligent, because to get to the level that they've gotten to probably takes some bit of smarts.
Okay.
They've parlayed going from prank videos to a pretty big business, and then to you get an interview with Trump.
Yeah, look, I'll rephrase it and I say I don't think they're good interviewers.
Right, that's fine.
I don't think that's not their wheelhouse. I mean, but that's fine. Exactly. They're very successful.
They had a really good interview with Mark Cuban.
Okay.
They did one with Mike Tyson, Andrew Tate, Trump. Who else did they have? I think they had Jamie Foxx on one of them for a little one. Yeah, I mean they're not going to get on a Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson. Really.
No.
Well, I think they did have. Did they have Jordan Peterson on?
Maybe Jordan Peterson would probably go on.
I think they could have Jordan Peterson on.
Maybe we could get Peterson on. He's around here a lot.
Yeah.
But that's a good episode to hear Tate unedited, uncensored for 2.5 hours. And he's very entertaining. He's very funny. And I would say 95% of the things he says in that episode specifically, it's very difficult to disagree with.
Right. Yeah.
Really, really hard. His views on, and like I said on Elijah's live stream on Saturday, Tate's, what he says about masculinity and femininity and the relationship between men and women, it is impenetrable. That's the word, right? Impenetrable if you're not Christian. If you look at masculinity only from a biological and philosophical point of view, and you look at men and women in this way without looking at it from a Christian perspective, Tate makes 100% sense. There's nothing, it's flawless what he says.
Right.
However, like I said on Elijah's live stream, when you add the Christian perspective and when you look at it from the values that Christ brought to earth, he said that a husband needs to lay down his life for his wife, and the same way that Jesus laid himself down for the church. And when you have that relationship, that changes the way that men are supposed to act with women and the way that husbands are supposed to act with their wives. But obviously, Tate is not, from what I know, he's not coming at anything from a Christian perspective.
Right.
So what he says makes perfect sense.
Okay.
And there's a lot that he really understands psychologically about women. A lot of the things that he says makes perfect sense, even down to things yes, his delivery is definitely explosive. He said something. So in that episode, he described the entire webcam business that he built.
Yeah.
It's actually really fascinating. The guy's really smart. He, like I said on Elijah's live stream, you don't just accidentally become Tate.
Well, you got to be smart and crafty when you're in the hole for money, that if you don't deliver that money, possibly be killed. Because that's what he talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And just the way that he structured the whole webcam business, and the way that because this is actually really interesting. I want to get into this. I don't know if you got to this part of the interview. He said women have no idea what men want to hear on a date.
Oh yeah, that's why he was scolding the one girl for saying you can't be talking to this guy like this, on this webcam. Yeah.
Yes. And so he started out by saying from a personal experience. He said, when I go on a date with a woman, I do not want to hear, I've been to Dubai. I've been to this restaurant before. Yeah, my friend Susie, she's so cool. And this weekend we're going to a club, and I went to that club. Yeah. He's shut the fuck up. He's I don't want to hear that. Right. Because when you say that to me, what I hear is you're banging a bunch of dudes. You probably slept with the not bartender, the guy, the bouncer,
promoter,
the bouncer to get in.
Yeah.
And then he talks about something on a much deeper level that I find fascinating, and it's very true, and it's something that I've thought, but I haven't been able to articulate in a long time. Men desire innocence in women. They want a woman who is innocent. Not even from a sexual perspective, not because they want to have sex with the virgin because she's a virgin, because men desire to be women's portal into the world. Men have this innate desire to show women the world. It's it's part of being a leader. Like, men are supposed to lead women. And so every man innately desires a woman who is innocent, who he can open up the world to and show the world to her. And I think that is really, really compelling and fascinating. And that's why he says men are so interested in virgins, because they have this innocent woman.
Sexual virgins or virgins of spirit and mind?
Probably all of the above.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Well, that's one of the best things about a relationship with somebody new. If you guys aren't into the same thing and you're able to teach each other things, I think that's more exciting than any sort of sexual adventure that you can have with that person.
And that's what he says. And he says, so I want a girl who's never been on a private jet. I want to be able to take her on a private jet for the first time. I want to take her to Dubai for the first time. I want to take her to Croatia for the first time. And so then he translates that into his webcam business. So when he started his webcam business, the girls would be like, ha ha ha, and typing all this stuff. Yeah, I think that's so cool. I've been there before. I've been there before. And he's like, shut the fuck up. So what he did was he disconnected. This is so funny to me. He disconnected the girl's keyboard. So they think they're typing. They're like, ha 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 ha. They're typing on the keyboard. And then he or his team is typing for her. Yeah. And they're saying things like, because he says that women really don't know what men want to hear. And I think he's right.
Yeah.
And men, obviously, they know what they want to hear from women. So he's on the other end of the keyboard and he's saying things like, so if it's an older guy, he'll have her say things like, oh my God, there's so many young guys on here and they're all really creepy and they're like saying a bunch of really inappropriate stuff. It's just so nice to finally speak to an older man who's ready to settle down.
That's what he would be typing?
That's what he would be saying if it's an older guy. Now, if it's the opposite, if it's a younger dude, he would have her say, there's so many old guys on here and it kind of freaks me out and it's gross and it's weird. It's really nice to have some young, fresh blood. And so he would also type things like from a perspective of innocence. And I find it to be fascinating.
It's really fascinating. It's also a little deceptive and kind of weird.
Totally.
But yeah, I get what he does. But the only thing is he's helping a segment of dudes who I guess need that help anyway. Because I think I know what I want to hear from a woman when I'm on a date. I think I know how I want that to go.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, if you're young, single out there, ladies, if you're single, if you're looking for a guy, I think that is actually a good piece of advice is when you go on a date, like, don't lie and say, but don't act like you have seen the whole world. Don't act like you're so experienced and weathered.
For guys, I'd say the same thing too. I would kind of say the same thing depending on what you're talking about.
I think it's a little different for men because women want a guy who is experienced. And another way that Tate says this is when you ask a woman, do you want a guy who's a virgin? She will almost always say no. Like, women want men who are more experienced because we innately, even if we don't admit it, we want to be led.
There's energy around there. Yeah.
And we want to be led by someone who is experienced and who has seen the world. Now, the other way around, if you ask a guy, do you want a woman with a body count of 0 or a body count of 50? Like, he's obviously going to say 0 because they innately want a woman who is more innocent.
Closer to 0 is usually good.
So anyway, I find Tate to be really fascinating.
Yeah.
And
one thing I would say is, like, people probably have to stop projecting on him their own Christianity. Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's what a lot of people should do, is just be like, well, he's not thinking about this in a Christian way. Well, he's probably not a Christian.
He claims, he's not claiming to be.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird. Like, I wouldn't project my conservative values onto Noam Chomsky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also another misconception of Tate. I mean, look, from what I have heard, maybe he's just saying this and he doesn't actually live it. But from what I've seen and from what he says, he does not believe in just sleeping around with women all the time. What he believes in is a wife and hoes, a wife and girlfriends, like having multiple wives, essentially. And he goes into a lot of reasons why it's important for a man to have that, while a woman will only be committed to one man.
Right.
And he talks about the difference between men and women. And like biologically, that can make a lot of sense when you talk about men have like hundreds of millions of sperm just ready to go at any time.
That's what the video with John was in that short that we posted, that a lot of people missed the point. Cheating is bad. Cheating is cheating, and whoever does it doesn't matter the sex, it's bad. And it's like, we're talking about the reasons why these people do things. They do them for different reasons. Like men, it's a physical reason. Women, it just tends to be more of an emotional reason.
That's right.
That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
We're not saying cheating's good.
Exactly.
Because there are excuses you can have. Like, we're not saying that.
Yeah, and that's another way that they misinterpret Tate. They think that he's saying that women should only be committed to one guy and guys can sleep with whoever they want. That's not what he's saying. He actually said in that Full Send interview, he's like, I think it's degenerate to just bang chicks.
That's where he tends to get a little hypocritical to me, though.
I don't know. Maybe does he bang chicks? I don't know.
Probably.
I mean, I know he has multiple. I think he has like 4 girlfriends right now and like 1 wife, like not legal wife. But.
Yeah. So I mean, what are we arguing about?
Yeah, but banging chicks is like banging girls that you just meet all the time. So there's a difference between like having 4. This is what he says. There's a difference between having 4 girlfriends. They like all live in the same house. They're like sister wives.
Sure.
They're all like committed to him.
He's presenting a cope here.
But he doesn't go. It's not like he goes every weekend and just like bangs a bunch of chicks. That to me, that's different.
Right. I guess he's living out his not hypothetical, but he's living out his hypothesis when it comes to I guess the male need to be physical with
just
multiple women.
Seed.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Again, I am not at all. I know people are going to be like, I can't believe that Gina likes Tate and supports him. I'm not saying that at all. I very much think that he would.
You're intrigued.
He would be much happier if he committed his life to Christ and if he laid down his life for one woman the way that Christ demands men to do.
Yeah.
I am just saying that when you don't have Christian values, that's what you end up with because biologically and philosophically, it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need Christ because Christ brings something much more rewarding, much more fulfilling.
Yeah.
And you don't end up with guys just being a slave to their biological desires. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So
I sound like an older black lady in church. Like while you're talking, I was like, oh, okay.
So the point of that is Tate's intriguing. He makes a lot of sense, but his life would be better if he committed to Christ. And the last point is commit your life to Christ and find one woman and marry her and lay down your life for her.
It's a nice life.
And have kids.
Yeah.
Or if you feel like you're not a person who should be married and have kids, devote your life to Christ anyway and serve him in other ways.
Listen, going from that, a couple different things here. Merch coming soon, right? Yeah, merch coming soon. Second of all, since we're talking about our YouTube shorts, so while you were away and while I was away and then came back, Adriana was very busy. We were posting a bunch of shorts on our YouTube channel. And I think over the past 28 days, I guess since the beginning of August, but most recently in the last 2 weeks, our shorts have been getting a lot of attention. I think one of them has like 400,000 plays. The other one has like 200, 300. So that subscriber number count, like remember I was like on the road to 50,000 when we had like 13,000 followers, and now we have close to 19,000. Like we'll get to 20 probably by the end of next week. The interesting thing is that I think shorts, while great, I mean they present other problems that we've talked about, but I think people it's like reacting to things on TikTok and Instagram Reels, like they don't have like the full contextual picture of what we're doing. So it's kind of a bummer that they reacted to that John video. They reacted to a couple of other shorts that we had where like you guys are missing the point. But it's also incentive. If you're watching our shorts and you're confused about anything, go back and watch the full episode because we pull these things from hour-long episodes.
Yeah, they are literally taken out of context.
Yeah.
But it is an easy way to just catch people's attention. I mean, I know that YouTube, like we've talked about many times, is trying to compete with TikTok.
Yeah.
So they're really pushing shorts and rewarding channels that post a lot of shorts. So, but it definitely comes with some annoying
responses. What I've been doing on Instagram?
Oh yeah. Okay, so
anytime like I go on my explore page and I see some girl in slutty clothing doing a dance or something like that, I comment in all caps haram, and I say delete. So it'll be some girl like, do you like me from the side? And I'll be like haram, delete. For people who don't know what haram is, it just basically it's anything that goes against Islamic teaching. So halal is good for the food, it's blessed. Halal. Haram, it's bad. It should be totally wiped out because you commit haram.
Do you also report the post or do you just say?
I say haram, delete, and then I say not interested.
Yeah.
Rid my feet of filth.
Yes.
It's so surprising. I haven't gone the Explore feed for a while. It's mostly like guns, forerunners, and then it's just like these skimpy girls. I don't want to see this. It's weird.
There's this, I wish you were on Twitter because there's a hilarious account called Islamic Cat.
Wait, speaking of Twitter, someone asks in the question, I'll just do this question now. They say, oh, Mike, when are you going to smash the like button and get a Twitter? Have we gotten our Twitter yet? Have we started our Twitter?
We can set it up. We haven't set it up yet.
Well, don't do it now. Don't do it
but
live.
I'm curious about if we have a handle available. That's what I'm curious about.
Check. What would it be? IDG? What would the Twitter handle be?
Let's see. No, not Adam.
The Twitter handle will be made before this video goes up anyway, so you guys wouldn't be sneaky, being like, haha, I'm going to make one. You can't.
All right. Let's see.
What would be like,
window.
I wonder if I'm doing great.
I'm doing great would be ideal.
Are you able to find out?
Sign up. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just.
Yeah, and you're going to be the one running this thing, right? I want nothing to do with it.
I guess.
I don't want it.
Twitter's the best. It really is. The way that somebody described it, and I've seen it, a few people describe it this way. Facebook and probably TikTok are the lowest. Mm-hmm. And then Instagram is like medium intelligence. And then out of all the social media, Twitter is definitely the highest intelligence because it's just words. Because you can't, it's much more difficult to express yourself in a funny, compelling, intelligent way with just words than it is with memes and photos and videos. And you can't do the butt photos and get really famous on Twitter.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
But you can post media on it.
You can, it just doesn't really perform that well.
So words go more viral than like pictures.
That's
stuff.
one of the reasons why, one of the many reasons why someone like Matt Walsh is successful on Twitter. He's just reached 1 million followers and he had like 400,000 just at the beginning of this year, I think.
Oh, really?
He's a really good writer.
Okay.
And he has a way with words. So people who have a way with words, and if you're really intelligent with reading and writing, like you will succeed on Twitter.
Adriana, give me the camera. Twitter is haram. Okay.
What's our email again for Don't tell me.
No.
Okay.
Do you want me to whisper it in your ear?
No, I got it. I'll use another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Twitter's fun. There's a really funny account called
Islamic Cat.
Okay. Where it's just like whoever this is, they take videos of like stupid e-girls that are trying to look sexy for the camera, and then a cat attacks them.
Yeah.
And then they act like it's like the Islamic cat telling them to cover up.
Well, that's someone on TikTok. Not that I've been on TikTok, but I saw it on Instagram because my buddy sent it to me. I have a Palestinian friend who we send funny memes to. And he sent me this Imam answering questions on TikTok. So this girl is like, are feet pics haram? And the Imam's like, are feet pics haram? What are you talking? He's like, your avatar is haram. Feet pics are haram. Don't send feet pics. I love it so much that I want to just go around yelling at people haram.
That's actually funny. You should.
Yeah.
What if you did that on the street? I wonder what would happen.
I don't know. I don't want to take the chance.
Yeah, you definitely don't.
Yeah. I just like how in Islamic culture, and especially in the language, you can't just say Allah. You have to say what translates to Allah blessed be his name upon him, or peace be upon him, Allah. So it's like if I mention Gina and how nice Gina was and how innocent Gina was, I would have to say, oh, and Gina, innocence be upon her. Like, that's kind of cool how they do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let's put in a fake birthday.
Okay.
And then let's see what...
oh, yeah. Okay, so you're doing this live.
Let's see what handles are available.
Is I'm doing great?
I'm doing great. That username is taken. Please choose another.
What about...
IDG podcast? Like
IDG the podcast.
Just like our Instagram.
Yeah.
That is available.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
IDG the podcast.
Okay, cool.
People are like, great, another... Well, do you go next? Because why don't we set this thing up?
I attached it to one of my emails. So I'm going to have to go back and attach it to our podcast.
But it'll
email.
be set up by the time this goes live on Friday.
Yes,
tomorrow.
it will.
Okay, cool.
Definitely.
IDG the podcast at IDG the podcast on Twitter. Do you want to talk about trans stuff, or do you want to?
I really do. I want to talk about the trans stuff first because there's been a lot of news around it lately.
Okay, you head it off.
Well, all the children's hospitals. So the first major children's hospital that's released a lot of content about trans kids. I don't even want to say trans kids anymore. I tweeted a few weeks ago, and I left you a voice note saying this. I tweeted probably a couple months ago now, there's no such thing as a trans child. And then it occurred to me, I'm probably going to get kicked off for saying this and might get clipped on TikTok and everyone will call me a TERF or whatever. That's fine. There's no such thing as a trans person because you can't change your gender. Like, it's just absurd. I'm almost at a point now where I don't even want to use the terms trans woman or trans man because
or even biological woman.
Exactly. There's only one kind of woman. It's a woman.
It's a woman.
It's a woman. And there's no such thing as a trans woman. What it is this is a harsh way to put it, but I might just start saying this. It's a man pretending to be a woman.
Well, not even that. Wouldn't a trans woman just want to be called a woman? Why would they even call themselves, I'm a trans woman? Just say you're a woman.
That's the whole thing.
I'm talking about them. I'm not talking about me saying you are a woman. I'm just saying, just call yourself a woman then.
That's the whole thing, is that you see all these tweets like trans women are real women, trans women are biological women. Okay, if you're a real woman, then why do you need the descriptor of trans?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm honestly at a point, I texted this to Bryson too. I was so pissed. I was like, bruh, I'm done using the term trans woman. Like there's only one kind of woman. And just like there's no such thing as a trans child, there's no such thing as a trans adult. We've just played into this. It's very similar to our refusal to play into the propaganda paradigm of pro-choice and pro-life. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to use those terms. We don't use those terms. Citizens of the Grateful Nation, they don't use those terms either because they don't mean anything, and they just allow the left to hijack language and to change the meanings of very real words. Just like pro-choice, there's no such thing as you get the choice to murder somebody or rape somebody or whatever it is. And that's why I don't even want to use the term trans woman anymore. It's just, I'm not playing that game. I'm not going to play the game of you hijacking language and changing the meaning of very real words that have real meanings. And that's a little bit of a tangent. So the whole thing is that Boston Children's Hospital has been releasing official Boston Children's Hospital videos of doctors talking about how parents can often identify their kids as trans from the moment they're born. Mm-hmm. And then saying things like, as young as 3 years old, we know that a child is gender diverse. That's a new term I haven't heard before. And then they use examples like when a child maybe doesn't want to put on their boy clothing, or maybe when a child refuses to sit down to pee or even refuses to stand up to pee. So I'm like, okay, so I mean, you have a toddler.
Yeah.
Has your daughter ever refused to put on a dress? Because this morning, just this morning,
sometimes they don't want to get dressed.
I tried to put a little cute purple dress on my daughter, and she had a rough night last night. She was not having it. She didn't want to put it on. She was, Okay, so is my daughter...
Is she a boy now?
Yeah, is she a boy now? It's like, it's so absurd.
Did you hear about this story? How a guy went to his school board because his daughter tried to kill herself in the school, tried to hang herself in the school because she was, it was due to confusion, due to her gender identity and her gender affirmation. And he was saying, we didn't even know that she was having this issue, because what was going on was people at the school were going behind our backs, having meetings with our daughter and trying to affirm her gender and stuff like that. And I was just like, whoa, that's a lawsuit. And I'm thinking to myself,
it's happening a lot.
Is all this stuff talking about, the Yale School of Medicine, Boston University Hospital, whatever this stuff is being run rampant around, is this all for money? They notice that this is a big trend now, trans trend. I think Destiny called it the trans trend. Trans trenders, he said. Is this just a money grab? Is this just Big Pharma getting involved in a money grab? Mm-hmm. I'm genuinely curious, because the whole thing for me is, doesn't this add to the mental illness and the downward spiral that a lot of these people go through, where they do eventually commit suicide? The whole label of trans to begin with. I mean, if you say I'm a woman, or if you say I'm a trans woman, you say, well, what is that? What is a trans woman? You're either a woman or you're not. Why do you have to affix the trans label to it?
Right.
Then they would say, okay, so I'm not a trans woman? No.
Yeah.
I feel like it just adds to the mental illness.
Yeah.
With all these labels that they have to keep up with, even within their own circles. Mm-hmm. Like, these people end up eating themselves.
Yeah, it's really sad. There was a viral tweet that went around of 4 different pictures of minors who have had some sort of, I put it in quotes, gender affirming surgery.
Oh, yeah, with the skin grafts. Yeah.
And one of the girls, she had a mastectomy, and in the picture you could see her arms, and she very clearly had self-harm wounds all over herself. And it's like, and it's just so sad to me that this is a girl that she desperately needs help. Mm-hmm. She needs support. She needs love. And instead of giving her that, doctors will just cut her up even more for an exorbitant amount of money.
That's what I'm just saying. I'm saying we are lay people here when we're talking about medical procedure, or even like psychological procedure here. But it seems like if someone is, inflicting harm upon themselves, whether it be by cutting or whatever it is, that, the fix probably isn't to cut off parts of their body.
No, especially when they're young. And there's a paper released showing that Boston Children's Hospital has performed over 300, quote, gender-affirming surgeries in the last 3 or 4 years.
Is that covered by insurance?
I doubt it.
No,
Well,
I think so. I think
Maybe.
it might be.
I guess it depends now. I guess it depends. But I mean, that's a really high number. We're talking about mastectomies, phalloplasties, vaginoplasties. And then you have these trans activists who gaslight us and they say, it's just a myth that minors are having gender affirming surgeries. It only happens to people over 18. And I'm like, the paper's right here.
Yeah.
It's an official paper showing how many surgeries that only one major children's hospital.
That paper came from Boston University?
It didn't come from, but it was like a review it was actually a review of use of anesthesia.
Okay.
So it's kind of an interesting thing. It had really nothing to do with trying to point out how many surgeries there's a department for gender affirming surgery, whatever. It wasn't even trying to point that out. It was trying to point out like the use of anesthesia in different ways. And the paper showed that just in Boston Children's Hospital alone, there were over 300, quote, gender affirming surgeries, and girls as young as 15 getting their breasts cut off because they feel like they're a different gender. Like it's a human rights issue. These are minors who are, many of them struggling with something, whether with some kind of mental illness, struggling with gender dysphoria, or struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts. And instead of actually treating them, what we've done is we've just made it seem like it's normal to cut them up and alter their bodies for the rest of their lives. And this is just at one children's hospital. There's also like Phoenix and Philadelphia, St. Louis. All these major children's hospitals are releasing videos of doctors talking about how kids as young as 3 know that they're trans. And it's like, what's crazy to me is that activists. What's crazy to me is that forgiving student loans is a really big topic right now because Biden's promising to do that. And you have a lot of people on the left who are insisting that 18-year-olds are preyed upon.
Right.
And
by
they're
colleges. They're not smart enough to
they don't
take
have
on these loans.
They don't have the mental capacity to decide whether it's appropriate to take on these loans and whether they're prepared to do so. And yet they turn around in the same breath and they say that 3, 4, 5-year-old children know for sure that they're in the wrong body. And it's just like, there's a huge disconnect happening here. And I don't know. I don't even know how you could even justify that.
Well, I want to know, can you look up what the average college loan, what the average total loan is, the average college student, what he owes after he graduates? Because if it's only $10,000 of relief, it should be $0 of relief. But I'm wondering, is that even going to do anything? I would figure most people have between $20,000 and $30,000.
Okay. Is that your guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, good guess. $32,731 is the average college debt among student loan borrowers in America.
So then what? Biden cancels that for people who are making less than $150,000 a year? Okay, so these people still have $20,000, $30,000 left to pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, okay.
So what's the point? So now you're putting the burden on the taxpayer.
Yeah, of course. Exactly.
This is what doesn't make any sense to me. If you're a taxpayer, property taxes, part of that goes to the local school district. What if your kids aren't in that local school district?
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so you're being taxed for that. Now you're getting taxed for kids who went to college. The whole thing is like, get the gender studies degree. This is happening to people who, got degrees in many other things too. This isn't just happening to people that got gender studies degrees. It's happening, I don't even know if he has the ability to do that, because Nancy Pelosi even said a couple of months ago when he started talking about this stuff that, Joe Biden doesn't have the power to do this. This is something that Congress has the power to do only. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on with that. I know it's a typical right-wing thing to be like, look at this. This is crazy. But like, guys, we're getting taxed daily for stuff that we don't use for people who don't do anything.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And I mentioned homeschooling, and I was talking about how, one of the many reasons that we've been served the scam of feminism is so that women can enter the workforce and government can collect even more tax dollars, and so that the nuclear family will be broken down. That's what
Andrew Tate said in the Full Send podcast.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
That's exactly what he mirrored. That's right. He said that. He says, once feminism started and women got the right to vote, I think especially corporations and capitalism figured out that they can tax a new segment of people, which are women in the workforce. So now they got 2 segments of people that they can tax. Then when the mothers aren't home, the kids are at the indoctrination centers, public schools, where they can indoctrinate those kids into the workforce and have them do whatever they want to do. Now they've got even more taxpayers. So all that they're doing is just perpetuating the amount of taxpayers who are contributing to
that's right.
Tax revenue in the country.
It also turns children against their parents, because what it does is you send children
Where'd
to
you
school.
learn that? I learned it at school.
Yeah.
Well, that's wrong. No, well, you're wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So it creates a very real division between children and their parents, and it destroys the harmony of the family. And so I mentioned that, and I talked about how homeschooling in many ways is the remedy to that, is to raise your own children. Just the idea that you send your kids to learn from total strangers for 8 hours a day would have been ludicrous a couple generations ago. And now not only do we accept it as the norm, but we tell people that that's really the only way, and that if you defy that, there's something wrong with you.
Michael knows. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, there's one woman who said that the only people who homeschool their kids are have a luxurious lifestyle. And so now we have people who actually believe that homeschooling is reserved for the rich.
Yeah, that's crazy. I never thought it to be that way.
Never. Yeah. I mean, every homeschool family I know is middle class.
Even lower middle class?
If not lower middle class. Like, all the rich families, where do they send their kids for school?
Private schools.
The rich private schools.
Sleepaway
where it's like
schools and academies and stuff like that. Michael Noah said something really interesting, and he's been sort of red pilling me on a bunch of things, especially with stopping using the term capitalism, which I was like, whoa, okay, that's a very interesting take. But he said something that a lot of conservatives are saying, you don't send, we shouldn't be teaching our kids what to learn at school. We should be teaching them how to learn. And he's like, no. No, you don't do that. In order to teach kids how to learn, you have to teach them that of which they are learning. Like, you can't teach kids how to think about the American Revolution if you do not teach them about the American Revolution.
That's right.
Wow, I've never liked that. We got to teach people how to learn. Like, no, you're doing them a disservice if that's all that you do.
And that goes along with what people say about indoctrination. They say that religion is indoctrination. They say homeschooling is indoctrination because you only teach one set of beliefs. That's not what indoctrination is. We talked about this before on the show, I think with Zuby's episode. Indoctrination means you teach one set of beliefs uncritically, which means that you just shove down one set of beliefs down people's throats, and you don't allow them to ask questions or to be curious about what that set of beliefs is. Now, sure, there are probably some religions, and there may be some parents, and of course some teachers who do participate in indoctrination, but you can't just say blanketly that homeschooling your kids or following one organized religion is indoctrination, because there are many, many, many Christian churches, many Jewish synagogues, many places of worship that they teach their set of beliefs, but they say, ask us questions. Right. This is why you should believe what you believe. Yeah. This is why this is true. And if you have questions, please ask. And so that's why this whole idea of homeschooling your kids is indoctrination. No, it's not. Just like going to school is not necessarily indoctrination. In many cases, it can be, just like we've said before. What is indoctrination? Gender theory, because you're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to ask, well, if gender is just a social construct, why do they have to change their bodies and cut off their breasts and build themselves a fake penis? You're not allowed to ask these questions. It is the actual form of indoctrination. Yeah. But then when you have parents who want to homeschool their kids and teach them about the world and still encourage them to ask questions, somehow that is considered indoctrination.
If you don't ask questions, it's on you. I feel like a lot of kids who either turn away from the church or turn away from their parents during homeschool, if that's the case, where maybe they are, where maybe like leaders of the church or their parents aren't accepting any questions from them, like, this is the way you're going to learn it, that's it, there's nothing you can do no questions will be asked here, this is what it is, and it's firm, then I can understand a child rebelling from that. But if you're able to ask a teacher or your mother who's homeschooling you, or the leaders at the church, if you're able to ask them questions and you have dialogues, but you still at the end of the day end up disagreeing with them or pushing back against them and then deciding to leave in anger, that's on you. That's not really on their part. But I can understand why maybe some kids would end up rebelling against parents or their faith, because they may have had some, not necessarily bad actors, but some bad leaders that didn't want to have dialogue. Yeah.
I mean, I can speak from my personal experience. Like, I've been to a lot of different Christian churches, and I don't think I've ever been to any that didn't accept and didn't encourage questions. Yeah. Like, especially Dr. Easley, the church that we go to now, he says, read your Bible and come with questions.
He's mad at me.
He's not mad at you.
He's mad at
You
me.
guys just disagreed on something.
Yeah, that's why I love watching Cliff, because he always entertains the dialogue. He always has back and forth, and he'll always say, "I respect your question, but you're not thinking intellectually."
Right.
Like, and I love that. Speaking of questions, should we do questions?
That's
I just
a good
did I just did
segue.
like a 10th grade drama class. Speaking of questions, let's do some questions here. Brought to you by Instagram from the citizens of the Grateful Nation. Also, listen, just join us on Locals, doinggreat.com.
Yeah.
No, doinggreat.locals.com.
Yeah, join us on Locals because I'm going to be going live in the next few days and doing my own little live stream. And Mike's going to do something on his own too. And it's going to be exclusive content only for our citizens with passports. So go to doinggreat.locals.com.
Listen, you can be a citizen at any time.
Mm-hmm.
One with a passport, though, is a bit different.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So
that's right.
Citizens with passport are an elevated citizen. That's all that
Yeah,
is. And then we
you
do
get-
have some czars in our Grateful Nation. Let's get some questions. I'm Christian Houts. He wants me to get an eye patch. That's kind of cool.
Why?
I don't know. Bummy Bamiel says, would you ever train MMA, BJJ, Muay Thai? Good question, because I think that we're probably going to do an IDG Does a Learn at some point in the future about BJJ. Right, Adriano? Yeah. Cool. Okay. So here's a great question. Slade Sasser, 98. Mike, best horror movie. We can both answer this question.
I hate horror movies.
Yeah, you don't like horror movies. Okay, so I was thinking about this because I wanted to come prepared. I didn't want to think about it on the spot.
No, don't.
Predator's not a horror movie, though. It's like an action movie, right?
It's like an action sci-fi.
Yeah, action
like-
sci-fi. For horror movies, I think I'd put Hereditary on there somewhere. I'd put The Exorcist on there. I'm really big on like religious demonic possession movies. I like those. No, I like them. They're great.
They're heavy.
Yeah, they really are heavy. But yeah, those are Hereditary, The Exorcist.
Is A Quiet Place considered a horror movie?
No,
Okay, because that's the only like
drama, thriller, maybe with like an
I really
alien
enjoyed
kind of
that.
undertone. Yeah.
I liked that one a lot.
Here's the follow-up
Good family
question.
story.
Is the movie Halloween implicitly based? Now, I asked Carly this because Carly has a good knowledge of the movie Halloween. So the plot of Halloween is Michael Myers, I believe, as a child, kills his older sister. And this may have been
What was she
while, what was she wearing? I don't know. I think she was like naked at the one point or taking her shirt off. But Jamie Lee Curtis's character, I can't remember if she was a baby or if she was even in the picture yet. So that sends Michael Myers to the institution. He comes out to kill Jamie Lee Curtis, his little sister. We don't know why. We really don't know why he's killing these people. So I don't know what the point of asking if Halloween is based. Like, is it based to kill your female siblings? Probably not. Is it based to kill any innocent? Probably not. So I don't know where the implicit baseness comes from.
Maybe they're
of
just
Halloween.
saying it's based to kill females.
Maybe it could be
Yeah,
from their point of view.
that's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
saying. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what they're asking because
So do I think Halloween is implicitly based? No, I would need an explanation as to why you think.
I've never seen it.
It's okay. You're not really missing much.
Okay.
It's all right. What is the best breed of dog and why is it pit bulls? Rab. Awesome.
You made that question up.
No, I didn't.
What are we going to name this guy?
I said Tyson. Or should the citizens name him?
Should we allow the citizens to name him? Should we, you know what we should do?
We should do a poll. We should take like the most popular 4 names that they give us.
No, I think we should put a question box out and whoever comes up with the best name gets a free piece of merch.
Piece of merch or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it a good name. Look at this little guy.
Fick Pitbull. I don't know, something. Fick
He's cute.
Nick Fuentes, the Pitbull.
Honey, do you think he looks like Kushia a little bit? Or
Like a fat version.
like a fat, muscly Kushia.
Here's a great question. You're really going to have to use your head for this.
Uh-huh.
Brick Newth 230. Is a hot dog more conservative than a hamburger? You'll answer it first and then I can go into it. Or do you want me to go into it?
Go into it. Let me think.
Now listen, historically, I'm going to give you the answer first. I think a hamburger is more conservative, and here's why. Is a hamburger more American? Yes. So the history of the hamburger and the hot dog, there's been some, soiled history going back and forth. But the hot dog ultimately comes from Frankfurt, Germany. That's what they call it, Frankfurters.
Yes.
Right, exactly. So people like to forget about that part. Oh, a hot dog is a real American classic, baseball game, street vendors, New York City, all that kind of stuff. Now, that's not to say that the hamburger didn't originate in America. There are people saying that it did. There are people saying that it didn't. But the hamburger was just like a different cut of beef that was easier to cook, faster to cook. And people during the Industrial Revolution, they would have steakhouses that would offer the hamburger as like a quick thing rather than making the steak or whatever. I think the hamburger in America started in Delmonico's in like 1880 or 1890s, somewhere like that. The thing is, though, the hamburger to me seems more conservative only because you can have it and it can be perfect without anything on it. If you're talking about conserving things, bun, meat, that's all you need. It has to be well seasoned too, but that's the bare minimum. I feel like a hot dog really isn't a hot dog unless you put, ketchup, mustard, a little bit of relish, a little bit of coleslaw, whatever you wrap it in bacon, put some avocado on it, some cream cheese, delicious. But
also a hot dog is phallic shaped.
Well, not even about that.
Not very conservative.
But can you have a hot dog just by itself? Hot dog and bun. I think you can. I like a good burnt Nathan's hot dog also.
Oh man, the Nathan's hot dogs used to be so good.
Then you get into the Hebrew Nationals. Okay? So if we're talking about who's running Big Hot Dog here, who's behind the Big Hot Dog? Is there a question behind the hot dog?
Don't get us... This is our first strike for sure.
Nobody knows what we're talking about, I don't think. Anyway,
who would really appreciate this conversation?
Listen, I think my dad makes really good hot dogs. He takes a Nathan's hot dog, burns the shit out of it.
Love it.
Put it in a bun. You toast the bun a little bit. I like it with ketchup and mustard.
I just like to have a little bit of yellow mustard on it. And
right.
That's it.
Look, now a hamburger, if it's made properly, you don't need anything because the juice of the burger gets into the bun, depending on what bun it is, and that essentially, takes place of the ketchup or the mustard or whatever. You add a good pickle there. I don't know. But about this debate, which is more conservative, I would have to say a hamburger, I think.
I would. It's
not something I'll die, I'm not going to die on the hill, but
hamburger, definitely.
I like both, though. It's difficult. Which is more based? Hamburger. Which is more conservative? I don't know. Probably the hamburger.
Makes me want a hot dog.
Makes me want a hot dog, too. I had a hamburger last night. Codeman Robinson says, he watched the have you seen this, the Manateo doc on Netflix? How trans people get away with anything for being trans. Do you know what this is?
No. What is it? Manateo?
Type in MANTI space TE.
Got it.
So what happened was this football player for Notre Dame, he just got catfished. He got catfished by this girl or this guy pretending to be this girl who obviously had problems. And then it came out like a big part of this during his football career was he went through some stuff. His grandmother died and then his girlfriend died in an accident. And, the whole Notre Dame football support system got around him. And then it turned out to be false. The girl was like, oh, I'm not dead, blah, 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 blah. And then it kind of turned against him. And this was right before he got drafted. So it basically affected his draft position because he was probably going to be a number 1 or number 2 draft pick. He was nominated for the Heisman Trophy. This kid had everything going for him. But when this scandal broke out, the scandal became the story and not his athletic ability. So the person, while they were filming this, everybody involved didn't know this guy was trans. So when the person who catfished him was a dude, right? Now the dude just has long hair and just presents as a female. So no charges were brought against this guy for catfishing. Like nothing happened, no fraud or anything. I mean, his life was probably basically ruined and his name was soiled. But it's a ridiculous documentary. It's kind of crazy how this guy basically just got away with catfishing this dude and completely wrecking his life. Whoa. And I think he did get eventually, I think he got in like the 8th round. He was like an 8th round draft pick to the San Diego Chargers. I think he's still playing football, but this dude went through some stuff. So you
saw this. Is it a series or a film?
I think it's a 2-part series. It's either a 2-part or 3-part series on Netflix.
Should we watch that, honey?
Yeah. Adrian was like, yep, watching it. No context IDG. Will you guys? Oh, no context IDG. If you don't follow him, no_context_IDG. He says he's going to show his face at 1,000 followers. And I think he's pretty close, right?
Whoa, let's take a look.
Will you guys be the ones to host the debate of the Giants, Destiny, John, and Nick?
I would love that so much. Yeah. I would really, 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 really enjoy that.
We host a debate.
Can we make that happen?
We could probably do that. We'd have to get them all here.
That would be the easy part. I know it'd be easy to get John and Nick here.
Right.
But I don't know where Destiny's based. Is he still, he's in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well then.
Well, how would we moderate a debate? We can have them debate each other, but the thing would be like, what would they be debating about?
So no context IDG has 979 followers.
Okay, so he needs 21
guys,
more.
And you can see I know he's brown, so you're going to see his brown face. No, but can we talk about the debate? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah?
I love that.
Well, 100th episode is the big live show thing. I don't want to just that to be debate. Like that will be like a show.
No, we can
bring fun people on.
So should we host it here, or should we do it at a venue? And
we could do that here.
Yeah, no, we definitely can't do a venue with Nick.
No. We have that here. You know what? Let's do that. Let's see if we can reach out to them. We get the 3 of them here. Mm-hmm. You moderate it. No. Listen, you moderate it. I could be on the live talking like super chats and bringing up questions for stuff like that because I feel like you're a little bit more intellectually stronger than I am to host this kind of a debate, or at least to moderate a debate. I think you'd be better off with that.
I don't think ladies should be involved in debates. No, I'm just
kidding.
You
wouldn't be. You'd be moderating it. I think you should, and I think it'll work out a little bit better.
Intellectually ready for that.
Here's the thing: Adriano runs it.
Did you watch the Destiny and Nick debate about Russia and Ukraine?
Yeah,
I was lost.
Yeah, well, in order to necessarily moderate it, you just have to keep it civil, and you have to keep them on topic. Like once they start going off topic, you're the person that brings them in and say, "Okay, guys, I think what he was saying was this. Why don't you address that?"
Okay, I guess it also depends on the topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's come up with something and then let's write him an email and be like, hey, what do you guys want to talk about?
I'm really excited.
But also the thing is though, the thing is, if you get Nick and John, they're somewhat politically aligned. You don't want to have a pile on Destiny. So maybe we would have to bring on someone else that Destiny could.
We could. Yeah.
Let's talk. We'll talk about it. We'll converse about it.
I'm stoked.
QR Sullivan, which federal department would you want to get rid of? We talked about this. You would do IRS. I would do ATF. So our combined forces would probably cause a lot of good in the world.
That's the message I have for that.
John Wayne or Clint Eastwood? Probably more of a Clint Eastwood guy.
Yeah, I think I'm a Clint Eastwood guy.
John Wayne, to me personally, wasn't that good of an actor. He had the kind of John Wayne-esque way of delivering lines, which kind of took away from the acting that he was doing.
Did he die?
I really do like John Wayne in non-Western movies. So I think like The Longest Day is one of my favorite John Wayne characters.
Wow, he was born in 1907.
I also watched Dirty Harry for the first time.
Gosh, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's good. Slade DeSasser, same guy asking a different question. John Doyle or Fic Nuentes? I don't want to have to choose between them.
Don't make me choose. Yeah. They're both so great. They're both wonderful.
I will tell you,
Christian men.
I will tell you, Fic loves a good chicken tender. That's my favorite part of that episode. I was like, hey, do you want to go get chicken tenders? He goes, yeah, let's do it. I love it.
I will say, though, what is a little bit, I have a little bit more affection to Fic is when he was at Bryson's house for his birthday and he sang the Black Happy Birthday song. That was a moment.
Yeah. I love John, though, too.
Although there was a really great Doyle moment where he called his black cousin on the show. And
listen, a lot of people were like, why do you not like John on the live stream with Elijah? I was like, what?
I saw a couple comments. Yeah, I don't know why.
Of course I like John.
Yeah.
Well, it's also different when they don't know that the internal sort of
they don't know that relationship off screen.
Right, exactly.
Another good thing about having that debate is we could do another episode with John and another episode with Fic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, after. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Cool.
Or with the two of them together, it could be nice.
Oh.
I Blevenu. Did Gina enjoy the 50th episode? You weren't here for that. You were on vacation, but we didn't. Oh no. You were getting ready to leave and it was late.
It was too late. Yeah. I did enjoy it. I fell asleep, so I didn't see all of it. But I did enjoy it.
Any character in a movie, TV show to be president, who would you pick?
Michael Scott, obviously.
Yeah, it'd run a lot. It'd probably run a lot.
Actually, you know what the country would run really well under? Dwight Schrute.
Dwight Schrute? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of an authoritarian.
I can't say the word authoritarian figure because Dwight understands and respects authority and really understands the importance of it.
It's probably a fascist, especially when he was given that Mussolini type speech when he won the salesman of the Northeastern Paper Supply Salesman of the Year. Not only that, though, I think Michael Scott, he always was a good boss.
Yeah.
He always was goofy and maybe an idiot, but he always had these good lessons.
His branch was always very successful.
The best branch.
It's a shame that Rainn Wilson is gay.
He is?
No, I mean, he's gay. The shit
he
says is so gay.
Yeah, he's a lib. Yeah. What can you do? Samantha 12 LEA, who just asked the prior question, have you guys seen Yellowstone? I just finished the series, liked it more than I thought I would. Yellowstone is good, but you got to get on the 1883 pill. I
got to the second episode of Yellowstone and it was a little bit, I'll continue it. I'll give it a shot. It was just a little too...
It gets soap opera after a while, and even like soap opera for dudes. That's why I liked 1883. It was one season, one series. It's a prequel to it. and it's just really interesting. The score is great. That's why I liked it.
Yeah.
Next question. This is a question probably that you'd be able to answer a little bit better. Carly tried to explain it to me, which she did make sense. When it comes to dieting, is rice a better substitute for bread, or stay away from both?
I personally, I eat rice once or twice a week. It's technically an ancient grain. Obviously, it is a grain. We, for the most part, don't eat any other grains, but we eat rice. Now, I think that a really important thing to consider is your genetics.
Yeah.
I'm obviously half Asian, and my mom's family and their ancestors ate rice all the time.
Yeah.
I think there's even something about the way that Asians' intestines function is different than other.
You got the Italian blood in you too, so it's not only rice, but you've got the grain making the pasta,
right?
Like the flour.
So I don't react poorly to rice.
Right.
I don't really like quinoa. I don't like any other grains. I notice a difference when I cut out all the other grains, but when I cut out rice, I don't notice a difference.
Do you do a type of white rice or brown rice? Because we
do white.
Yeah, we've decided
so much easier to
cut
digest
from the brown rice. Yeah.
Yeah, brown rice is too difficult for me to digest.
Okay,
I feel great when I eat white rice.
Yeah.
I feed my daughter white rice. It's the only grain that I give her.
You feed the dog white rice? Yeah, you feed that. That's what they
do
get
feed
for?
the dog white rice.
I'll tell you what, man. This rice with the bone broth. I mean, where have I been?
I gotta try that. That sounds
so
really
good.
delish.
So good. Yeah, it really is good.
Yeah, but so I would say that rice for me personally is the only grain that I think is worth eating.
Lawn Enjoyer, who enjoys his lawn, said, did you end up going to Bodega in St. Pete? If not, where was your best meal? No, while we were in St. Pete, so downtown St. Pete is very woke. There's like a lot of woke stuff there. We didn't go to Bodega only because Bodega wasn't the atmosphere that we wanted. You know, my wife and I went out on a date night. We were able to leave the kid with the grandparents. So we wanted to go somewhere a little bit more upscale. So we did. I can't remember the name of the restaurant. She had a good burger. I had a good Cuban sandwich, though I'm sure the Cuban at Bodega probably would have been better. But we did get some ice cream. We got some really good coconut milk based ice cream at this woke coconut place in woke ice cream place in St. Pete. It was really, really good.
Coconut milk ice cream.
We got like these samples. It was like golf ball size samples. So we had 6 flavors. It was really, really good.
Wow.
Creamy coconut. So Carly and I was having the discussion about should she have the unrefined coconut was it coconut flour? I'm butchering it. Was it or coconut oil? She was like, should I get the unrefined or the refined? Because the unrefined makes everything taste like coconut. I think the refined kind of takes that out. And I was like, I don't mind. And she was like, oh, we're going refined. I said, okay. Tim Hawley, in an earlier episode, Gina said she disagreed with predestination. Why is that?
I never said that.
Tim Hawley said.
Oh, I never said that. I think what I said was I don't know enough theologically about predestination.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here's an interesting question from Emily Rose. What do y'all believe draws a person to a certain aesthetic or lifestyle, for lack of a better description? That's interesting. That's probably based on maybe family history. You tend to sort of get interested in what your parents, if they're interested in anything, if they talk to you or have you involved in things, you're obviously drawn to that aesthetic. More than like, are you going to be drawn to mid-century architecture or furniture design if you've never seen it before?
It's also a question of nature versus nurture. There's some interesting research I read a while ago that genetic twins that were separated at birth.
Oh yeah, they tend to like the same things even if they're separated. Yeah.
Yeah, they have also
music
research
tastes.
showing like kids who were adopted, they later found that they have the same characteristics and the tendencies and the mannerisms as their biological parents.
Interesting. Yeah, so I think that makes sense.
So it's probably a combination of both environment and genetics.
Especially influence among your friends. I mean, like look at the whole trans thing. It's a lot of it is because of herd mentality and friend groups and small friend groups and wanting to fit in and stuff. So I think a lot of people's aesthetic or lifestyle choices are due to that, wanting to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see someone smoking a cigarette. If I saw James Dean in front of me smoking a cigarette, I'd be like, God, that guy's cool.
He was so cool. Was he gay, you think?
No.
Okay, that was just a
cope. Of Rock Hudson, or probably a cope from other people, yeah.
Liberals wanted him to be gay, probably.
Thomas Hughesema says, support for police. As a conservative, I supported them, but after 2020, listen, I'm going to make probably like a pretty controversial statement as a conservative. Most police fucking suck. You thought that was going to go the other way, didn't you? But it didn't. No, I'd say a very tiny minority of police are good and decent and really try to follow and protect the Constitution as much as possible. I think the majority of them like the majority of anything. The majority of people are stupid. I think the individual has the capacity to be good. That is probably the same with police. I think the majority of them will just do what they're told and will just blindly step on the Constitution in order to keep themselves safe, keep their jobs, keep their boss happy, meet their quotas. So am I saying that you should disobey the law? No, not necessarily. I think you should disobey unjust laws 100%.
Do you think that seatbelt law should even exist? Like, I have a really difficult time. So there's two parts of this.
Yeah, I get that.
I totally obviously understand laws against drunk driving, but I don't understand why the government feels the need to police whether I'm wearing a seatbelt in my car that I own, that I pay the registration for. And when I don't wear a seatbelt, it doesn't affect the lives of anyone else. I also think about what we talk a lot about with Kai, and after Kai's episode, is that it's the state's job to promote the good and to promote the well-being of its citizens
without enforcement or without infringing on their rights.
So does it mean, is that like a part of the state's job when it comes to looking after citizens' well-being? Because we also talked about diet and nutrition, and Kai argues that it is the state's duty to make sure that its population is healthy and doing well. And so I suppose you could use that in the same argument to say that it's the state's duty to make sure that they remain safe and that their lives aren't in danger when they're driving a vehicle.
Yeah, I think, well, here's the thing. I don't think that the government should be mandating those types of laws, right? And here's why. Because a lot of people brought up the seatbelt question when it's masks. Oh, you don't want to wear a mask?
Yeah.
Don't you wear a seatbelt in your car? Here's the thing: if there was a way, because it's fascistic in a way that government has to tell private companies how they can make their cars, right? That's what they're doing. They're saying, well, if you guys don't have these standards, then you can't put out a car. Well, why not? What if there's a car that's released that doesn't have seatbelts and it's the safest car on the market? But it doesn't meet your demand of necessarily having a seatbelt. Listen, seatbelts can save your life. They can also kill you.
Yeah. Oh, can they?
Well, yeah. If you get involved in an accident and they can get stuck if you can't cut the seatbelt off. Especially where you're wearing it. I mean, a lot of people when they're involved in accidents going really fast, like the seatbelt can kind of hurt them and cause internal bleeding and stuff like that. So I don't know. Is there an incentive for me to wear a seatbelt? Probably, yeah. Do I think like a cop should pull me over and say, hey, you weren't wearing your seatbelt? Well, neither were you, officer. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Should there be laws about not being on your cell phone? I mean, that probably comes down to, maybe you think so, yeah.
Definitely yes, because there's so many accidents of...
Yeah, not having a seatbelt or having a seatbelt on isn't going to cause one to have an accident.
Exactly.
Being on the phone could cause a distraction, has caused accidents before.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. That's a good debate to have.
I would
Maybe that's the debate between Nick, John, and Destiny. Should seatbelt laws be mandated?
It's a 3-hour debate right there.
I think that can go into several different places. Okay, let's do a couple more until we have to go. Thomas is saying about police. I'm realizing they're the first to turn on us. Yes, it would be. CSU Fullerton or Boise? I'm in California, so I'm not willingly applying to a California State University, but it's cheaper. This is from Brittany. Should she go to Cal State Fullerton or should she go to Boise? Boise would probably be more expensive if she's going out of state to a school, right?
I just don't know enough. I don't know enough about
what do you want to do,
study.
Brittany?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Do you absolutely need a college degree in order to do whatever you're going to? Because honestly, I think probably all you need is like $50, a library card, and do whatever you want to.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do. Like if you want to go into law or be a doctor or go into science and engineering, it makes more sense to go to school. But if you just want to, study literature or liberal arts, I don't know if it's really worth it. But okay. I don't know enough to answer that question.
We helped you though. Yeah, give us a little bit more. DM us. DM us if you're a fan of the show. If I don't see a follows you in that description, I don't think you like us. A couple more. London Crazy. In terms of dating, how important are looks? I think they're important.
Very important.
I would like to, feel good about being intimate with my spouse and looking at them and feeling pleasant and not cringing or like
even more than that. Your looks are a perfect representation of your values and how you treat yourself and your self-respect.
Right.
If you're someone who is unkept and women, you don't you don't dress very well and don't wear any makeup and your hair is all gross, like that is it signals to the man
Sending
that
signals.
you don't care about yourself. And if you don't care about your own appearance, why would you care about your family or your kids?
But also, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There's going to be another sweaty guy out there who's willing to accept that.
Yeah, well then they're perfect for each other because they don't. Neither of them have self-respect.
There you go. How many dogs do I have? 2.
Oh man, it was so good to see Taco.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Recently, yeah.
I love that little stink mouth.
So why did Mike's wife stop being vegan? Health problems. Good Kazmo. She did give me the blessing to answer this question. So because I'm not gonna mess it up because she told me. Yes, health problems. She noticed that after going through pregnancy, delivering, or not deliver, but having the C-section, and then breastfeeding. She noticed she became very tired a lot quicker. So she was like, the energy levels were so down. And I asked her, I was like, okay, so since having meat, have your energy levels, been better? And she's like, yeah, they've been, it's almost night and day.
That's
great. I have a lot of energy now. And she was even talking about before, when she was an avid cyclist, she was, workout nut. She still is. But she said at that time, I was still having a lot of, protein shakes that had high quantities of protein in them. I was eating a lot of like these vegan sausages that had like a high protein count. So back then I was doing a lot more of that. So my protein intake was high, but it wasn't the right type of protein.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think she noticed, when your body is reacting in a certain way and you don't feel good, it's clearly trying to tell you something. So you have to make a change. So she's going to see Dr. Charlie soon. So we'll hear some stuff. Don't want to answer that.
Let's do 2 more.
Okay. Glizzy guy. He's an Aussie who's going to be moving here. He's been
fair income.
Fair income. Fair dinkum.
Fair income.
Oh, mate, you got my food, mate. You got my fucking food in it.
In it.
Yeah, in it. I love in it.
In it.
Okay. Who is another intellectual on the left you would like to have on for a conversation? I think Coleman Hughes would be kind of interesting.
Yeah. He's, I don't know if you could say he's on the left, but definitely want to have him on.
He is on the left.
Okay.
He is on the left. Voted for Joe Biden, is on the left. Was down for mandates, is on the left. Though when it comes to cultural
he's down for
things,
mandates.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to cultural things, he is pretty center and pretty well reasoned. I'd say like John McWhorter, like a lot of these people. I know a lot of people aren't going to like me when I say this, but I think Bill Maher I would like to talk to because he still is a flaming lib, though he's gotten some things right. Broken clock is right twice a day. Would I call Bill Maher an intellectual, though? Probably not. I know Bill Maher's not our guy. You're asking me who I would like to talk. I think Bill Maher I'd like to have a conversation with.
Definitely the greatest intellectual out there, Tim Dillon.
He's not on the left, though.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Tim, when are we going to get this guy on the show?
He just had
He put out a special.
Ethan H3H3 Productions.
Wait, he had him on the show?
He had him on his show,
Was he flaming him? Was he like...
I don't know. He just posted a picture and he said, just filmed. And like conservatives in his comments are going crazy. Like, this is the biggest Tim L. I can't believe you had him on.
Yeah.
Like, why have him on?
Yeah, have him on. The dude gets no respect from me, but just like,
But like,
whatever.
Tim talks to everyone.
Whoever you want, yeah.
Tim talks to literally everyone.
I would talk to everybody. I would talk to the HG guy and be like, why are you the way that you are?
Why are you the way that you are?
Okay, last one. This is from Max Pew Pew.
Pew Pew.
We know Max. We see his name all over the place. Is Florida overrated as a freedom state? Lots of homelessness, drugs, bad roads.
It's so methy. Florida's so methy to me.
I gotta tell you, I was there and I just... Maybe I was in the wrong part of Florida, but
it falls flat.
Don't care. Yeah,
like I don't even think. Okay, I haven't been to the beaches on the west coast of Florida, but the beaches that I've seen, I've been to Florida many times.
The
I don't
Gulf
think
was
they're
nice.
that pretty.
Was
Gulf,
it? Yeah, it was nice.
Okay,
it was nice. It was way too crowded. The parking situation was horrible.
Yeah,
but that water was like 80 degrees. Really nice turquoise. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know that DeSantis is awesome, and there's a lot of good things about Florida, but to me, Florida lacks its own culture. Like somebody was like, oh, Florida, the southern state. I'm like, Florida's not really like part of the South. It doesn't have, Georgia it's its own like southern culture, like Low Country Boil and Savannah.
Tennessee, Kentucky.
Tennessee's got its own culture.
Louisiana,
obviously Texas,
Alabama.
South Carolina, like
Arkansas.
Charleston has its own culture.
Wait, is Arkansas Midwest?
Maybe. But Florida doesn't have a culture. It's just like a melting pot of a lot of like retirees, and
Miami has a culture. Yes,
that's true. Right? That's definitely true. But Florida as a whole is like, it's just a bit methy to me.
You know what today is? August 25th. You guys are going to be watching this on August 26th, but August 25th is the first day that Tennessee has now completely banned abortion from fertilization.
Hallelujah.
What they're trying to do, though, and I sent you a link and I sent you a link. What they're trying to do is the Tennessee state legislature is trying to punish corporations and businesses for and denying them grants or taking away grants if that corporation or business does not pay for an employee's funding for an out-of-state abortion. So this was from Tennessee Stand Up was sending me. Carly sent me the link to sign a petition so that we can say no. This is what I'm saying. Move to a state that has your values. I was telling my buddy today, I was like, how awesome is it though that you can tell someone who has just moved from California to New York, yeah, dude, yeah, today abortion's banned from fertilization. There's no
Love to see
12
it.
weeks, there's no 14 weeks. It's banned.
Yeah.
And then you watch in real time their heads explode.
Right. Oh gosh, love it. Did you see Joe Rogan's the clip where he interviewed Seth Dillon?
Yeah, dude. I would love to get Joe Rogan on to talk to him about abortion because I think he's completely wrong. And I can't remember exactly what he was talking about in the specific clip. But he was like, oh, you would force, my daughter's 13 or 14. Like you would force my daughter to have it. I was like, why are you not advocating for the life of your grandchild? Like that's what I would have asked him. I was like, that's your grandchild.
Yeah.
Your daughter will have your grandchild. Why are you not advocating for that? I can understand how an emotionally charged idea it is to think about, especially if it's your daughter being raped and having to carry the rapist's baby or whatever. But it's also like, it's your grandchild.
Baby. I just want to say shout out to Seth Dillon on the episode. I
for
think,
standing firm there.
I think he did really great. And I think I think people may underestimate how important that moment was culturally for Seth to go on Joe's show.
Yeah,
and
the conversation itself. I think Joe, to much of the chagrin of maybe a lot of our viewers who don't necessarily like Joe, like I think what he likes is having that conversation. Like he likes having that conversation.
He does. Yeah.
I think so. Just because he likes talking to people.
I want to have Seth on, by the way.
Well, he got into a really big Steven Crowder issue because Steven Crowder talked about marijuana. They didn't agree about marijuana. And I think that was really like one of the only times he actually like got upset at a guest because he's just like, you're wrong. Okay, future guests. Let's get on Seth Dillon. Let's get on Tim Dillon. Let's get on Seth Dillon and Tim Dillon on at the same time and call it the Dillons. Who else? James Anderson White is going to be on next week. Big old Jaws. That's what we call him. I don't know what we're going to talk to him about yet, but we'll figure it out. And thank you guys.
Yeah, doinggreat.locals.com. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for getting us to over 18,000, almost 19,000 subs on YouTube. Don't forget to smash that like button. If you like our episodes, share with all your friends. Tell them to subscribe to
myhealthshift.com.
Yes. So if you are a woman, there's only one kind of woman. And if you are that woman, I have a private health and fitness group for women who are interested in learning more about health. A lot of women are on a weight loss journey. I go live every Wednesday night to do a nutrition live stream. Last night I did a breakdown on seed oils. I explained why they're bad for you. We do a workout together every Monday, and we're always doing health challenges together. So go to myhealthshift.com and join us. It's only $9 a month, and it's a great place to connect with other like-minded women and to get a little more insight into our life too, our personal life.
Yep, and the IDG Men's Club is officially launching this Sunday. We're going to have our first Zoom introductory meeting. I have figured out the book that I think we're all going to read.
Nice.
It should be fun because I haven't read it yet. Oh, wait. No, I haven't read it yet. So we are going to, I've only heard about it, but we're going to announce that. And that is $10 a month. So if you want to be part of that, it's certainly a great group of people so far. I think we've got something like, I want to say over 20 supporters now, but
That's
almost
awesome.
100 members. Yeah.
That's great.
So guys, join the men's club at theidgmensclub.locals.com. And thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you guys. Bye. Bye.
Oh, 1 o'clock end time. That's nice.
Perfect. Perfecto.